Our guest today has turned the challenges of single parenthood into a mission of empowerment. How did Cindy Witteman go from struggling single mom to a beacon of hope to so many? Stay tuned to hear her incredible journey. I am so excited. Welcome to another episode of Teen Minds Redefined. Listen, my mission is for one parent of a teenager to stop wishing away those teenage years and start embracing that relationship. If I can turn one parent into just loving and transforming the relationship with their teens, we're not raising kids, we're raising humans. And I just want to see, the world change. I want to see our teenagers come out into this world being their own authentic selves because they've learned from parents who have learned how to live to be their true authentic selves. And here's an authentic human, Cindy Witteman. Welcome to Teen Minds Redefined. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here and I love your mission.
Oh, thank you. Listen, tell us about you. Tell us all the things, like, what are you doing that you got to right here? That's what I want to know.
Well, for many years, I used to try to chase success. I came from super poor single parent home, and I would chase success my whole life. Like, once I do this, I'm going to be successful. Once I do that, I'm going to be successful. But here in the last, several years, I realized that I don't need to be chasing success. I need to be chasing fulfillment. And now I found that once I found that fulfillment factor and the doing all of the things that make me feel fulfilled and serving others and being of service, that now success chases me. And so that is what has gotten me here today, is really a mind shift that's really reshaped the way that I see the world outside of me and inside.
Oh, okay. So when we met, the first words that you were talking about was this nonprofit, helping single parents. It was just, and it struck me because I've done a few episodes on divorce and co-parenting, and 48% is the stat. Mm-hmm. So if you're not divorced, or if you're not thinking about getting divorced, you certainly know people who are divorced.
True.
And so these episodes, these messages, if we could get them to as many people as possible, because, some mom or dad is sitting home alone, not knowing what to do next or who to turn to or who to talk to. And there is a community of people led by someone with the biggest heart like you. So let's talk about that journey. Let's talk about your nonprofit. You talk about it. I'm so excited.
Okay, so I founded a nonprofit in 2017, and we focus on giving away cars to single parents in need. But if you don't mind, I'd love to give you a little rewind story of how that came to be. Absolutely. So the backstory is I actually came from a single parent home, super poor. I decided that the way to get out of this situation was to get married, start my happily ever after. Well, what happened was domestic violence. So I was in that marriage for almost 10 years. And one day I was actually folding laundry, watching my daughters and watching Dr. Phil, like a housewife would, right? And Dr. Phil says, it's better to come from a broken home than it is to grow up in one. And literally, when I heard those words, it was like permission to get the heck out of there. Because I had thought, since my daughters were not being abused and it was only me, that I could clean better, I could cook better, I could talk less, I could do all these things to make it my white picket fence be the reality that I was having. And so when he said that, I was like, oh my goodness, he's so right. Like, I am teaching them that it's okay to be treated this way. This is yeah. So, and I had always promised myself I would never be a single parent, like the dreadful single parent, never going to happen to me. I could do it. I could make it work. So anyways, as I'm strapping my 5-month-old daughter into her car seat, leaving that situation, I had grabbed a basket of clothes, a bag of diapers, threw it in the car, and we escaped, and I rebuilt a life for us. It wasn't easy. I worked 2 jobs, put myself through college. I did all of these things, worked really hard to try to get on the other side of success. Well, I always knew that once I had been through my own journey, that I wanted to do something to help single parents. And I kept thinking, how could I do that? What could I do? And so I had thought so hard about various ways that I could help, lots of ways we can help. There's so many beautiful nonprofits out there. But what I really came to realize was, all these beautiful nonprofits that are doing amazing work, like whether they're giving food or clothing or shelter, or maybe some, pay your CPS bill, your electric bill, provide groceries, whatever it is that they're providing, you're going to need that gallon of milk again tomorrow. So my thought was, how can I help these single parents in a way that they can help themselves to get themselves to the next level? So I literally had been kind of in my mind a little bit, about how I could provide a service that was not going to be a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. It was actually going to be a solution, a tool to help get them to the next level. I was actually at dinner one night, and I was sitting there with he was my fiance then, now he's my husband. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, and all of a sudden I just stood up at the table and said, that's it. I'm going to give away cars to single parents. And my fiance is a lawyer. He was like, sit down, Cindy, you're not giving away anything. Like, no, it's not going to happen. Like that, you know how much liability? And he gave me all these reasons why I shouldn't. I listened very intently. And then I called the waitress over and I said, hey, you know, this is what I'm thinking. And she said, you know, that's a great idea. I remember I came from a single parent home. I remember being at the bus stop, you know, in the rain, trying to get to school and not being able to get groceries and all of this. But she said, maybe, Cindy, you're thinking too big. Maybe you should give away Uber and Lyft gift cards, maybe gas cards, you know, maybe you should do that. And I listened again. I'm like, okay. I went home that night and I woke up super early in the morning. By, you know, within 24 hours, I built a website and had a business plan in place. And we gave away a car less than a month later.
Okay. Goosebumps all over the place right now. And oh my gosh. First, I'm sorry you went through that experience in the first place. However, you've turned it into something miraculous. So great. But I just want to backtrack for 1 second, because you went from, you made that brave decision. But can I say, because I have a funny feeling I know this answer, did you know when you threw the kids in the car what you were actually going to do?
No, I had zero idea, like zero. Like, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, I saw my mom fail time and time again. I mean, as a child coming from a single parent home, my dad paid child support. My mom was very loving. She passed away from COVID at age 61, but she was so I don't mean to bad talk her. She was so loving. She was just terrible with money. And so we went through a lot of struggles. Like sometimes we didn't have electric and sometimes we didn't have running water. Sometimes our cars were getting repossessed left and right. We went without a lot of basic needs. And so that single parenthood to me meant that. Yeah. And so strapping the kids in the car, like you're asking about that day, I was thinking, am I going to do that to my kids? Am I going to fail that hard? How am I not going to do that to my kids?
So not knowing the next step was far better than knowing exactly what the next step would be if you sat in the same place.
Yeah. And I know myself, and I didn't want to give myself a chance to talk myself out of it. Same thing with the nonprofit. When I started it, I knew that if I listened to everybody else's opinions and I thought about it and maybe it could be a bad idea. Maybe, you know how those sneaky little self-sabotaging feelings come in. And so same thing with that time when I got in that car and drove away that day, I knew that I had to act right then and there before I talked myself out of it. And the same thing with the nonprofit.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So what exactly happens in this nonprofit? Like, what are the steps? What is the process?
So that's something I thought a lot about over that 24-hour period. And I thought to myself, like, I didn't want it to be a whole bunch of red tape, like there's all these childcare programs and nonprofits, but you have to meet this criteria and that criteria and all of these things. Yeah. What I wanted it to do is be more like a feeling. I really wanted the car to be a tool that was going to get that person to the next level, but then you need the person who is that focused and that driven. So how was I going to figure out who those people were? I obviously knew there was going to be a huge need. San Antonio, Texas, it's hard to get around without a vehicle, and public transportation, although available, can take hours to get you somewhere. So I really thought intently about how I could do it. So what I developed very quickly on, and still 7 years today, we still use the system, is we have a very short application on the website, which is basic, I think it's like 4 questions. And once they meet that minimum criteria, then we ask them for a video. Because although there's beautiful people who can communicate beautifully in writing and they can tell this amazing story, some people can't. And I didn't want to exclude either one, whether it be somebody who could or couldn't communicate that way. So I wanted it to be more like, I see your heart. This video. So we ask for a 3 to 5 minute video, and we can really tell a lot from those videos. And sometimes the person who you might get this little bitty synopsis from that says, how's a vehicle going to change your life? They might say, I could take my kids to school. But then you get them on this video where they're, so passionate about, getting to the next level, going to school, all of this. So we watch all of the videos, then we narrow it down, and then we do background checks and do our due diligence to make sure that these recipients are going to be someone who's going to use it as a tool. I mean, our program is not meant for somebody who's going to need to live in the car. Ours is meant to be, that little step up you need just to get to the next level. So with that process, once we finish all that, then we do our car giveaways. We get the funding from, community funding. Obviously, regular people just make donations. And then we also partner with various corporations, businesses. We partner with Carvana before, Service King, and Sierra we're working with currently. So we have lots of different partnerships to help get the cars. But what I've seen over the last 7 years is these people who enroll in college, graduate with their master's degree, get married, invite me to their wedding, invite me to their graduation. I've seen so many wonderful things take place with the nonprofit. And it's just, like I said, it's hard work.
It is hard work. I'd love to hear. Do you have an example of one story without releasing confidential information? Can we
There's
hear?
nothing confidential. There's nothing
Okay.
confidential. All of our recipients, not only have they received cards from us, but we have 4 of them who are actually actively on our board of directors.
Oh.
And so, yeah, so I would love to give 2 quick stories if that's okay. Because there's 2 that really are standing out to me at this moment. So the first car we gave away, and I mentioned that was within less than a month that we gave away the vehicle, went to a single dad. And that single dad had actually been involved in a motor vehicle accident where he was hit by a drunk driver. And in that accident, he actually not only lost his vehicle, but he lost his wife and his leg. So he became handicapped overnight, single dad with no transportation. So once he was able to get through his rehabilitation and everything and ready to, get back in the driver's seat, we were able to get him a vehicle, which he still drives to this day and refuses to sell because it's sentimental value to him. So that's one.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And he's flourishing. He's just doing amazing things. And I'm just so grateful for him. And he touches base with us all the time. So, and his name is John. He's just amazing. So then the second story I'd love to share is back in 2020, we gave a vehicle to a woman by the name of Latika. And right away, Latika joined our board of directors. She got involved. She started helping us grow the nonprofit. And then in very short order later, she ended up graduating with her degree. She ended up getting married. And then one day she calls and she says, Cindy, hey, guess what? I'm in a place now I can buy myself a vehicle. So I want to donate this vehicle back to driving single parents. So in July of 2023, she did just that. She donated the vehicle back and we blessed another single parent family with the exact same vehicle. And so that, that's just tells me that, that full circle moment of, wow, now this is not only giving away cars, this is inspiring individuals to do better, to get their step up. Her children are flourishing now. She has 1 son, is flourishing now. And then now to see the next person receive the vehicle who is actually in dental school to become a dentist.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so it's just like this ripple effect of love and kindness. And it's just really neat to see these people go from struggling, trying to figure out how they're going to get to anywhere, to graduating with a master's degree, to getting that higher paying job across town, to enrolling in college, to going to seeing their kids. We just saw Candace, her daughter just graduated from college or from high school. So, I mean, you just see all of this. So anyways, I know I get super pumped. I talk fast and I get really excited when I talk about my nonprofit. So for that, I apologize.
No, please don't apologize. It's so good. And it's so funny. And I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, the metaphor of that. It's a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's 4 wheels and an engine. No, it's a vehicle. And it starts with them being very vulnerable. Like not everybody wants to share their story.
That's true.
And yeah, the energy of somebody, I can understand the whole video application piece because, it's like anything, like podcasting. I get Google Forms in. I have this, this is what I have. But until I have a 5-second conversation, heart to heart, is the energy there? Is the vibe there? And you feel it.
Yeah.
And so I can totally understand you doing that. I think that's very inclusive, first of all. And such a complete stranger in you having such faith in somebody saying, I need your help. Mm-hmm. And being able to help them like that is just, oh my goodness. I love it. There's so many questions I want to ask. I want to go to, and it triggered me when you said there was people on the board that were that were recipients. how does the community get involved in this? How, like, what kind of involvement do they have? What kind of, I know they're on the board, few past recipients, but can single parents even just kind of, if they're one step ahead, can they help? Can they volunteer? Because I feel like, once you're one step ahead, you can help that next person come up the ladder with you. How does that help? How does that work in the community where you're in?
Yeah, so we ask for help, but in an untraditional kind of way. Obviously, donations are wonderful. We appreciate donations, but what we ask everyday individuals to do is, if you don't have the funds to donate, no problem. Find a local charity in your community and just share their content online. That's it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, but yet you might be connecting somebody who has the ability to help that nonprofit. So you don't realize how that little like or that little share on any nonprofit content really does help spread their mission and help them get the funding that they need. So if you don't have the funds, please do that in your community to any nonprofit that you love or know.
So is this just in San Antonio? Are you the only one doing this at the moment? Are there people saying, hey, how do I do that over here?
Yeah, so right now we're just in Bexar County. I have every intention of expanding. So we are definitely planning on, we're working towards some things to kind of branch out quite a bit. Yes, it happens all the time that people call and say, hey, do you have this here? And I say no. And then they say, how can we do that here? And so some people have told me, Cindy, you got to be really careful. Someone's going to steal your idea. Good. Please steal my idea. I want anyone who can help in this way to do that. That's what it's all about. It's not all about, look at me and the credit. No, it's about, hey, how can we help these people who are raising our future leaders? And single parents are not someone who woke up one day and said, guess what I'm going to be today? No. Single parenthood is very, very hard, and it's very challenging. And we have to remember that we need to wrap our arms around these single parents, wherever you are, whatever community you're in, and help them however you can, because they are raising our future leaders. As you said in the beginning of this, there's such a huge divorce rate, and there are single parents and single moms, single dads everywhere. And if we can really help them get to the next level and not struggle as much with their little ones, then those leaders are going to grow up twice as strong as they would otherwise.
Yeah. And the courage, I was the same. I'm divorced. And the fact that I was making my kids a statistic, just, and I still, it's like a punch in the chest now. And this was 20 years ago. So there's just something about it. And yet when you listen to stories like yours, like, it's courage. It's pure, raw courage for your kids. Yes, I hope the whole statistic thing, I'm just throwing it out the window right now for myself, because your kids are seeing you make a decision for them and for you, not just for them, but for you. And that's not selfish, because what are we teaching our kids? That we are important, that we need to do what's right for us. And then that's what they learn. And so all of these steps that we take, and it's easy to say, oh, I know what's going on. I know what I'm going to do next. It's hard to say, you know what? I don't know.
I'm going to figure it out.
But I'm going to figure it out, and you're going to figure it out when you get to this part of your life where you don't know what the next step is. What is your advice for somebody who is like, didn't hear the Dr. Phil conversation, but like, can you say it in your words? Like, when you hear people talk about a certain topic all the time, and it's like, blah, 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 and then somebody says it in a way where you go, oh, that's it. Like goosebumps. That's what I needed to hear. So if we say these things over and over again in different words, so what would you say to somebody who's sitting at home in the position you were in, but they didn't turn on the TV? What would you say?
I would say the power is within you. It's been there the whole time, and you don't know it yet. And so if you're sitting there and you're in a situation you want to get out of, but you don't know how, stop focusing so much on the how and start focusing on the why. And the power is within you, and you do not know your own strength. And I know we all hear this as little kids. You do not know your own strength until you need it. but it's there and it's within you so often. And I know for me personally, I thought, well, this was happening and that was happening outside of me. Until I could fix this or that or the other, I couldn't do the next thing. And this is me as a young child. But realizing now that the entire time the power was within me. And if I had turned from looking at everything outside of me and looked inside of me, the power was there all along. And that's how I was able to get through it. And I'm not extraordinary. I'm just a regular person. And every single one of us have that power within us.
I totally agree. I've been, doing my podcast for about 6 or 7 months now. And it's really turned into, for parents, it's not them, it's you. But that's the good news. The good news is we have it here. We don't have to, like you said, when I started the podcast, it was putting Band-Aids on strategies for parents who had kids who are neurodivergent. Try this strategy, talk to the teacher about this. And then it became, wait a minute, if we're able to tap into this, then we're able to pick up on, I'm going to say, intuitive hits. We're going to be able to pick up on listening to ourselves and knowing how, if we know how to move forward and how it feels right to us, then everything else just ripples out.
So true.
What better feeling than your kids looking at you going, oh my God, Mom, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
That's one of the things that I did for them that I now look at the time, it just seemed like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But now looking back is like, wow, how did little young, when I left that marriage, I was 21 years old. I had just turned 21. And so I'd been married for many years at that point, which is kind of crazy. But for me to have the thought that I had is insane, because one of the things that I did for my daughters intentionally was I kept my last name. So my last name is Witteman, and I carry that name very proud. And one of the things that when I had the opportunity to change my last name back to my maiden name, I chose not to, because I wanted to change for them what was going to happen next. So obviously a criminal record is what you would Google and see that last name. And I wanted to make sure that when my daughters had to write down their name, they wrote down their name with pride. So now when you Google that last name, you will see all of the things that I do, the nonprofit, my TV show, all the books and everything I've written. So when my daughters have to consciously write down every single day on a job application and school or wherever their last name, they can carry it with pride and not think, hey, whenever somebody Googles my name, a mugshot pops up. And so I think about now, as the age that I am, today is my 43rd birthday. And I think, you know what? How is it that I decided that at that super young age? I think I was 23 when I made that decision. And how did I decide that? But, it worked out, and it was so selfless. But that's one of the things that we do for our kids. Like you said, we, do all of these things, and we work super hard, and we're trying to get through, and we're trying to learn the hacks, and we just do it for our kids. And we try to show them that strength, that the power is also within them.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
We're so honored you are spending your birthday. I know when we release this, it won't be your birthday, but you spending time with me I'm really honored. Thank you for that. That's so cool. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay. We should probably talk about a little bit more about what you do, and talk about your podcast, talk about your little give. Oh, that's so cool. I was listening to it was just so cool. I just keep getting goosebumps, and then I can't finish a sentence. So I'm going to let you talk about what else you have going on in your world.
Okay, perfect. So when I started my nonprofit, I found out I have a fear of public speaking. This is not cool, right? Because as the founder and CEO of a nonprofit, you've got to give news interviews, podcast interviews. You've got to do all these things. You've got to be the face and the voice of the nonprofit to spread your mission. Well, I found out I have this problem. So fast forward several years later, and I end up making this commitment to myself that I am just going to start saying yes. Because I would get offered opportunities to speak, and I'm like, can somebody else do it? I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. So I finally said, you know what? I've got to get over these self-limiting beliefs. I've got to get over imposter syndrome. I've got to do it. So I'm just going to start saying yes. So within a very short period of time, I end up being asked. I'm talking like 3 weeks of making that commitment to myself. I get asked to write a book. And it's called, and I don't even like to read, to be honest with you. I absolutely love my Audible podcast and my Audible books, but sitting down reading a book, no. So when I get offered this to write this book, I think absolutely not. First of all, I'm not an author. Second of all, I don't even like to read. Third of all, like just go find somebody else. But the title of the book is called Shattering the Stigma of Single Motherhood.
Mm.
So wouldn't you know it, I've made that commitment to say yes. And then of course I do want to shatter that. So I end up writing that first book, and then another book comes right after, which is How to Overcome Self-Sabotage. I mean, I could have wrote 10 books. The book could be like this big because lots of self-sabotage has happened to me in my life, and overcoming it has been one of the things that I've, worked towards my whole life. Still to this day, every single day, those thoughts come in and you have to work, diligently to get rid of them. So anyways, they come to me and they say, Cindy, we want you to host a TV show. You've got to be kidding me. I don't even like to be on camera. I have a fear of public speaking. I don't know anything about TV. I mean, absolutely not. Can't do it. And so then I say, well, I made this commitment to myself that I am going to say yes, right? I am going to say yes. I'm going to do it. So then I say, no. And they say, well, Cindy, what if we let you pick the name of your show? What if we let you pick what the show's about? What if we let you pick your own schedule? What if we let you pick your own guests? What if we let you just do everything you want? Would you do it then? I said, well, I mean, if you remove all the obstacles, and I told myself I was going to say yes, fine, I'll do it. So I was actually again at dinner. I don't know what it is about me eating that really helps me think of the best ideas. But I say, what would make it worth it for me to do it afraid? What would make it worth it for me to sit in front of that camera, swallow my fear? What would make it worth it? And it hit me at dinner, of course, that, oh my goodness, what if I could highlight ordinary people doing extraordinary things to help others? What if I could make the show all about a little give? Oftentimes we all think, well, I can't help a nonprofit. I don't have $10,000 to buy a car. I can't help a nonprofit. I don't have a week of my time. I work to volunteer, So I thought, man, if I could spread kindness and love and good news. There's so much bad news out there, and show people that there's something little you can do in your community today that can make a ripple effect of kindness and love and improve the world one little give at a time. So that's how Little Give was born over dinner. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. Because through my nonprofit work, people would come to me and say, oh my goodness, Cindy, what is it about you that made you be able to do this? And I would tell them, there's nothing special about me. I'm just an ordinary person who saw a need and found a way to meet it. That's it. The power's within you. We can all do these things. And so that's how it was born. And so now I've been doing a Little Give TV show where I highlight ordinary people doing extraordinary things to help others and highlight good news, and also spread that ripple effect of little gives all around the world. The show airs in 127 countries, has a potential viewership of over 30 million. And I've been doing this for over a year now, and it is so much fun.
Well, and I have the same fear of public speaking, and yet I'm doing a podcast. And the only, I can get very critical about how I do my intros and how I do my outros and don't finish my sentences. But I think when we love something, when we have a mission, the energy takes over.
It does.
I used to do staff meetings as a supervisor, and I hated it. And I did a million of them, and I hated it. But there was no energy in me scheduling, and there was nothing there, so I didn't enjoy it. And then I get on this podcast, like, oh my God, I could do this all friggin' day long.
Yes, and
all day long.
Like, why hasn't this been in my life the whole time? This is so much better than what I was doing before. But once again, it's that fulfillment factor. We're always trying to chase the rabbit, trying to, get that success level. But once you find that fulfillment, it's like nothing else matters. It's just, you're right. You feel so right in where you are in your life. I love it.
Well, they always say, find something you could do all day long without getting paid. That's what I do now. I'll figure out a way to get paid, but I don't care. I just enjoy I get out of meeting people like you and being able to share things that you do, I think is so important. And like you said, if it hits one ear, if it hits one person, if it's, somebody sitting there going, I don't know. Oh, I just happened to meet Cindy on a podcast. And yes, my life is different. Like, how incredible is that?
Yes. I'm big about, I don't know if you've ever heard it before, but there's some, everybody always focuses on ROI, right? Your return on investment. And I say, to heck with that. Like, I focus on my ROE, my return on energy. And the return on energy I get from having conversations with amazing people like you, like this right here, is worth the price of gold. Like
Right.
dollars don't matter, cents don't matter. It's just this amazing connection that puts you in a sense of joy, and I love it. So thank you for having me today.
I'm so honored, honestly. Okay, let's talk about the podcast. Manifesting bullshit. Let's do it. Is manifesting bullshit. I should have said.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and it's not. So the way that came to be is I had already written 3 books. Well, I've already written 2 books. And then I was having a phone conversation with my 2 oldest daughters. My oldest daughter is 26 and then a 24-year-old. And so we're just chit-chatting on the phone one day. And my daughter, Kimberly, says, hey, Mom, wouldn't it be cool if we wrote a book together? And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. What would the book be about? And she says, well, maybe we could make it like about positive progress or something. So we look, the book title's taken. But I said, yeah, let me talk to my publisher. Let's see if we can get it going. And sure enough, they say yes. So we start thinking, well, what would we name this book? What's it going to be about? And we went back and forth with different names. So then I say, well, what about is manifesting bullshit? Because that is my first question, right? Like I saw it on Oprah initially when The Secret came out, and I was like, I cannot believe somebody out there believes this crap. Like I felt sorry for them, And so I tell my daughters, they're like, me too. Like that was our first question. So I said, okay, cool, let's do that. So we end up creating this book together. So the 3 of us write the book, and again, titled Is Manifesting Bullshit Positive Progress? And as we go through this journey, people would ask like, well, is it like they like legit want to know? I'm like, I don't know. You have to read the book to find out. We just kind of laughed it off. And so the book ends up doing really well. We get international bestseller. We end up getting an International Impact Book Award for the book. And it just is so much fun. Mommy-daughter collaboration. Oh, yeah. But after this is all going through and the book is doing well, and I'm driving to work one day, I'm not eating this time though.
Okay.
I'm driving to work and I go, what would be really cool? What if I started a podcast that was all about manifesting? And like, not to say like we only talk to people about, that they believe in manifesting, but what if we like interview like skeptics, critics, anybody who wants to talk about manifesting from around the world? Like how cool would it be to expand your own thoughts on manifesting? So I ended up doing the podcast and I've been doing it ever since. And it's so much fun.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I've watched a couple of episodes. I'm going to dive in a little bit more because it's just, I get addicted. And then it's like, I binge like I would on Netflix, but only on podcasts. So funny. I don't listen to music anymore, which is bizarre. I've got a book and I've got my podcasts, my audibles, and oh my gosh, I just don't listen to music. It's so weird.
Yeah, I rarely do too.
Well, Cindy, I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed this conversation. Please tell everybody where to find you, how to work with you, how to donate, how to be, participate in helping you in that community. Give us all the things.
Well, you can find me anywhere on social media under my name, Cindy Witteman. And if you want to find my website, you can find that at cfviews.com. And within that, you can find all about my magazine. You can find about the other work I do. You can find about Little Give. You can find about Driving Single Parents, my books. But if you want to go directly to the nonprofit website, that's drivingsingleparents.org. We would love to answer any questions you might have, see how maybe we could start something like this in your neighborhood. And I just love to chat with anybody. I do Let's Connect calls all the time. And I have a genuine curiosity about other people and their lives. So if anybody out there might want to be on either my TV show or my podcast, or you want to maybe be featured in my magazine, whatever way that I can help highlight everyday people doing amazing things, I'm here for it. So please reach out.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. And I have to say, halfway through our interview, you said, I'm not extraordinary. I beg to differ. But the wonderful thing about how extraordinary you are is you allow people to know they are extraordinary as well. We just need to dig in there and find it. And that's it. So thank you, Cindy. Have a wonderful birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Teen Minds Redefined. Please share this. You never know who needs to hear Cindy's words. It's magic. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.